Woody Johnson absolutely lost his mind this afternoon, calling out the Jets quarterback Justin Fields, but praising the New York Jets head coach and Aaron Glenn. So whether or not that's a good thing or not for you depends on how much you trust the new head coach Aaron Glenn. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Jets Football 365. If you're a New York Jet fan, please hit that subscribe button. You've probably seen me before, but this is what we are doing now. Jumping into the news from today. Actually, before we jumped into the news, Woody Johnson back at it again. You had to imagine, how long was he really going to stay away from this franchise? I mean, we know in the past Woody Johnson has a penchant to step in at the worst possible moments and make things worse. Now, at 0-7 currently, there wasn't really a whole lot of room for this New York Jets season to get worse than it was. And I would argue that Woody Johnson really didn't make anything worse with his comments, but he said a lot of stuff that was kind of correct, but really should not have been said. Let's start off with the first thing that he said about Justin Fields. Coming from CBS Sports, he said, if we could complete a pass, it would look good, is what he said. Also following that up, or CBS Sports wrote, though Fields has completed nearly 64% of his passes and has yet to throw an interception, the quarterback's overly conservative play has led to 22 sacks, which is second most in the league, and an expected points added per dropback of negative 0.09, tied for 28th in the league. So whatever that second stat meant, it's pretty bad for Justin Fields. He is not, was not adding to the New York Jets passing offense, and now it looks like Tyrod Taylor will be taking over for, the Jets quarterback for the foreseeable future. But whether or not Woody Johnson is correct can be up to you. For me, he was correct. Justin Fields was not playing well enough, but that doesn't mean you come out and say something like this. I mean, if we can complete a pass is an absolute crazy thing to say about the guy that we were hoping was going to be maybe a franchise quarterback going forwards for the New York Jets. But Woody Johnson, he says what he says. We know the man loves to blow stuff up in the media, loves to make stuff all about him. And hey, he got away for a while, but now he's back talking about this team, and he clearly looks not to be a Justin Fields fan, although there were reports that Woody Johnson was staying far away from the team and letting Aaron Glenn handle decisions on his own. And it does feel like Justin Fields was a Aaron Glenn pick, not a Woody Johnson pick, based on the fact that Aaron Glenn has talked so much about the advantages of having a running quarterback, paired with the fact that there were no Jets scouts at the Oregon versus Illinois or Indiana football game a couple of weeks ago, where the number one consensus quarterback prospect Fernando Mendoza for Indiana faced off against the number two consensus quarterback prospect in Dante Moore for Oregon. The Jets, I guess, didn't have enough interest in a quarterback, or maybe they're looking at a different quarterback. Hush hush, Lenora Sellers is what they're looking at, even though he has not put out a ton of good film after his first drive of the season versus the the Virginia Tech Hokies, and how good really is that football team. So a little bit worried about what the plan is long-term at quarterback. Clear that Woody Johnson is not on the Justin Fields train. In my defense, I never was either, but hey, there wasn't a good option in free agency for this New York Jet football team. Aaron Rodgers would have been owed a ton of money, and there's no reason that a head coach and new general manager coming in was gonna deal with that type of contract. Also, Aaron Rodgers would have been the voice of the locker room, not Aaron Glenn. We know Aaron Glenn was excited to put his own voice into the locker room, and I'm hoping that it's working. But at 0-7, it's getting a little bit harder for what he says to be respected by the team and to resonate with the team. But his words seem to be resonating with Woody Johnson, who seems to have a ton of respect for Aaron Glenn, saying, if you see what I see, or I see what you see, but I see more hope than you do. That's what Johnson said, speaking to a group of reporters. He said, you can't win with hope, but it helps. So if you're a New York Jets fan, you got to have hope. And that, we have hope that we maybe win one football game. But so far, it hasn't looked super good for Aaron Glenn. Woody Johnson is convinced that it's actually better than what it currently looks like. Now, I don't think they're an 0-7 caliber bad team. I definitely think the Tennessee Titans are the worst team in the NFL, not the New York Jets. Look at the point differential. The Jets are like fifth worst in the league, where the Tennessee Titans are dead last in the league. The New York Jets have lost a couple close one-possession games, and someone was telling me that, well, of course, they're getting closer in garbage time, but not really. The Buccaneers, that wasn't garbage time where they scored the kick block touchdown for Will McDonald. I mean, that's not garbage time. Dallas Cowboys, they came back, but they didn't make it close, so they can't be talking about that game. The Buffalo Bills, we never made it close, so not be talking about that game either. This Jets team is playing close football games. They're just not winning these close games. It does come down to coaching. It does feel like Aaron Glenn is over his head. He is, I'm hearing the term that people are saying he's not playing his cards right. That's right on the nose. The dude is not, he's just not making good decisions. I mean, the debacle against the Denver Broncos with that fake punt where we brought in all 5 of our offensive linemen and we expected to trick anybody. I mean, at that point, just bring out a normal offensive play. But I understand why you wouldn't bring out a normal offensive play, because our quarterback gives us, minus 0.09 expected yards per play. I mean, it's real bad. Don't have to tell anyone watching this video about how unfortunate this season has gone. But if there can be any good, there are some certainly winnable games coming up on the schedule. This run of winnable football games started with last week against the Carolina Panthers. That did not translate into a win for the New York Jets, but Cincinnati Bengals coming up, followed by a bye week, followed up by the Cleveland Browns. Neither one of those teams are very good. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals adding Joe Flacco via trade with the Cleveland Browns. Certainly a significantly better offense with Joe Flacco. They actually dropped below the Titans in point differential on the season after a couple games with Jake Browning starting at quarterback. That was really, really bad football. The Jets would have beaten that team. Now, you never know. Cincinnati Bengals are better than the New York Jets, but the Jets are certainly good enough to pull the upset in that game. Moving on to the Browns, Dylan Gabriel will most likely still be the starter in 3 weeks. But hey, if you're a Shedeur Sanders fan, maybe your guy's out there. I'm certainly a Shedeur Sanders fan. I want to see him do well. I don't. From a football perspective, I watch his film. I don't think he's an NFL. I don't think he's a great NFL quarterback. I think he'd be a decent backup, but I'm not expecting Shedeur to light the world on fire. I am expecting the New York Jets to be highly competitive in both these games. And even with the Patriots a bit overrated. Yes, they are the number 2 seed in the playoff picture currently for the entire AFC, but I mean, they're playing some pretty weak teams. Drake May's playing really, really well. I mean, people are treating him like he's, the reincarnation of Brady. I know he broke Brady's record for completion percentage in a single game. Drake May's playing really, really well. That's another winnable game for the New York Jets. You never know what the Baltimore Ravens are this season. They just had their bye this week at week 7, but first 6 weeks of the season, the Baltimore Ravens only managed to win one singular football game. They're down 8 or 9 of their starting defenders the last time we watched that team play football against the LA Rams 2 weeks ago. Not a good team right now, but they didn't have Lamar Jackson, the guy that makes it all go. The Ravens are a question mark. We don't know how good or bad that football team is going to be come November 23rd when the New York Jets are going to travel to M&T Bank Stadium to take on the Baltimore Ravens. Hopefully, they're still struggling for the season. Some of their guys, namely their big defensive tackle in the middle, Nnamdi Madubuike, he will not be coming back. So hopefully, the New York Jets are going to be able to run the football straight up the middle against that football team. But the Jets got to win. You have to imagine they got to win one of these games. They got to turn something around, because even if Aaron Glenn has a ton of support from Woody Johnson, that's going to run out if he coaches this poorly throughout the course of the entire year. Now, the good thing about that for the Aaron Glenn fans is he's going to get more and more experience as a head coach as the year goes on. Obviously, he wasn't a head coach before, so he's learning on the fly. He's walking into every single game he walks into now. He has more experience than the last game he walked into, and that's all you can ask for. Hopefully he gets a little bit faster with this decision making and can make some better, fourth down, go or not go, end the game. The final 2 minutes of both halves have been misplayed by the New York Jets as of this point. And one important detail I forgot to mention, the reason why the Jets have, why I think they got a great chance to win some of these games here is because Tyrod Taylor, while he's not a good quarterback, he's better than Justin Fields, because Justin Fields was just patting the ball, just hanging on to it, making our offensive line look far worse than they are. I mean, this offensive line got a couple top first round offensive tackles. They're good players, man. They're good players. Justin Fields is making them look bad by holding the ball for a time that is impossible for the offensive line to block long enough to keep him protected. Maybe the Jets got to call some more design runs, but we're going to see what Tyrod Taylor brings to the table. Hopefully we can get a win here. These games are very, very winnable for the New York Jets. But that's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long in the video, thank you for watching. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, which I know you are. It's the first video. Go Jets.